Hi, my name is James Woods. I'd like to give you a deeper explanation about some of the economics department's plans for how we're going to change our core courses. And we're talking about introductory microeconomics, introductory macroeconomics, microeconomic theory, and macroeconomic theory, commonly known as 201, 202, 311, and 312. Now, our plan is to change the way that we deliver our courses, how we report upon those courses, and at the same time to convert everything to proficiency-based. So our first goal is to change our reporting from something more than just a letter grade. This is a really great idea when you don't have computer technology. When you're handling everything by hand, where the faculty member is putting a single byte grade like this onto a piece of paper, and that piece of paper has to be taken to the registrar's office, and then they're taking that piece of paper and hand copying that single byte onto the student's permanent record. Well, we can do more nowadays, and what we'd like to do is expand the reporting that we have on individual students, so faculty members that have the students afterwards have a more clear and complete picture of what these students are capable of, so that their application record when they go on to graduate school can be, again, more complete, more clear, leaving fewer people guessing about, well, what really was in that particular class. And then finally make it so that employers have a better idea about their skills. And we'll show you how we're going to do this. Now, the second thing that we'd like to take is to change the way that we deliver courses. Instead of having it so courses are just bound up with a single individual, we'd like to make it so that students have a great deal of flexibility. So they can choose to complete a course with more than one faculty member at a time, and even perhaps going ahead and including their final completion on a computer as a way of completing all the requirements of a course. So our idea here is to split up a course from the domain of a single instructor to something that has multiple instructors in it. And then finally what we're going to do is change the standard grading and format of the course to something that's referred to as proficiency-based. And what's intended for proficiency-based is instead of having the grade based upon your average grades in each one of these particular modules that's in a class, what we're going to do is make it so that your grade is dependent upon how much of the classes you've actually mastered. How far you've gotten through the tree of knowledge in the course determines what your eventual grade is going to be. And this is part of our advanced reporting. So let's explain some of these concepts just a little bit further. Let's explain first what we mean by proficiency-based. Now you can visualize a course like this. We'll bound it in. That's something that's taught by an individual instructor. And within this particular course, you've got topics that the students are supposed to learn about. These may be modules or weeks or however your individual faculty member has gone ahead and arranged them. And what happens is that students are introduced to topics and are evaluated at topics. You can see how well they did in each individual topic. So that one they did really well in. This one they also did really well in. Here they're kind of acceptable in. This one they've barely managed to touch. That was a bit of embarrassment. They know a little bit of this one right here and a little bit more up here, but not quite what you'd find acceptable. And what the faculty member does then, in this kind of standard class, is they look at the average way that the student has filled up these individual boxes, and they go ahead and assign the student a letter grade. Well, that's one way of doing it, how far you fill the individual boxes. What you're doing with proficiency-based grading is you're looking how far along in the course that the student managed to demonstrate a certain kind of proficiency. If they reach one specific level, they're able to get a C. If they get to a little bit further in the course, showing proficiency in each one of those topics, they can get a C+, or they can get a B, or they can get an A. The idea is to say that your performance is going to be based upon what you can actually do, what you have actually shown that you can do. So this student right here that we have, instead of looking at the average of the boxes, we can say that, oh, they've only gotten through up to about this level right here. They've only mastered these 1, 2, 3 topics, and that's probably not very good. It's something where you can probably say, well, look, a C- may be appropriate, and you can come by the same letter evaluation in each one of these two systems. What proficiency-based allows you to do in the classroom, though, is allow students to travel at slightly different paces. So the idea is that you can take all this material that you're supposedly thinking about in the old-fashioned way, and you can build it into a tree of knowledge for each one of the students. So you can think about them having access to an introductory topic, which then gives them access to 2 additional topics. And if you've mastered one of these over here, it gives you access to these 3 topics, any one of which can give you access to another line of topics here. And you can even have alternatives. So say, for example, this topic right here, you can also say do it with calculus as another way of progressing yourself forward. The way it looks to the student is that they'll start off on this particular topic and they'll continue to work on it, and they'll be evaluated until the instructor says, yes, you're done with this particular topic. Now you can move on to one of these 2. It's your choice. The student can move along this one and work on it until, according to some evaluation, they achieve mastery. They can go over here and work on this until they achieve mastery, but the key thing is that they can't move on to these topics here until they've achieved mastery in this. When you want to assign a letter grade, which is still, going to be required for us, you simply look at how far into the tree this student got, and then what you can say is, oh, given that they've gotten this far in the tree, the kind of grade that we should assign the student is just going to be a C. So what proficiency-based does is allows the student to basically work at their own pace until they've actually completed something. Students, which are really good, can flow through the tree relatively quickly. They can finish what is traditionally a 10-week course, going through a lot more material than they ever could have in 8 weeks. So proficiency-based allows certain kind of flexibility and makes it so those students which are not doing very good can continually have access to material until they've actually mastered it. Now this leads this to the first thing that we'd like to do. We want to make a tree diagram like this for our entire core economic sequence. We want to make it so that we've got a tree for introductory micro, introductory macro, and the 2 theory courses. We want to make it so that we have this additional database for the students, so that we have where the students are in this tree for all of our students. So when our students advance from our theory courses and start taking our field courses, the 400 level courses, the instructor can go ahead and have this great database that says, oh, now I know what my students can do. Now I know that I can cut out this particular module because it's not necessary. These students have it down pat. Or they know that they have to spend some extra time reviewing some concepts because there's a subset of the students that aren't really good. We're still going to go ahead and deliver this letter grade to the registrar's office, but this is the additional reporting that we want to do. This is what we're asking for the Provost Challenge help on, is developing a system in order to collect this information, to transfer it from faculty member to faculty member, and make it useful for students that are applying to graduate school. So we have concerns perhaps about FERPA on this, because we don't know how this is going to interact with other kinds of educational records. And of course, this will require a lot of programming expertise and legal knowledge about how long we're supposed to hold these things for archival reasons. And there is yet an additional ramification of switching to proficiency-based. By dealing with this system, where we have these individual modules that students are working their ways through, that are going through these changes, they are by their very nature going to be out of sync. But what we'd like to do is make it so that students can travel this tree by using any faculty member they want, provided that they're currently presenting and evaluating material on that particular topic. So the idea there is that we could have professors which are starting courses, some at the beginning of the term, some after a couple of weeks, some may be going ahead and having all these courses online. But the idea is that an individual student could start with one instructor. They could work on part of their tree with that particular instructor and then find themselves behind and then switch to another instructor to work on that material for a while, catch up, switch back to their original instructor, and perhaps take up some of the optional topics that are being taught by the online instructor. So we want to make it so that the students are not quite tied down to an individual instructor, so that they can taste the instructor's particular style that's there, but still be sure that there's going to be some kind of unified evaluation across all these instructors to make sure that the students have mastered the material. So in short, what we're trying to do is create something which is beyond the letter grade, something which shows where our students are in their educational process. We're trying to make it so that our students can be more independent of an individual faculty member, so they can jump from place to place to place, from faculty member to faculty member, from online to back into the regular classroom, all to go ahead and acquire all the knowledge that's in this tree. And then finally, we're making sure that this is all done under a proficiency-based system. So again, this is just a rough outline of what we're considering for our changes to our sequence, and we would like to hear your feedback.